I'm here, I'm up in the corner. Hello. Yeah, something a bit different today. If you remember, we did the preview for the Moretonhampstead Motor Museum dispersal sale, and there was a lot of automobilia, a lot of bikes, British bikes, not quite my thing, as you all probably know, but there were quite a few cars. So I thought what we'd do, a little bit of a rough and ready video, just run through the results so we can go through it together. If it's still showing an estimate, the item didn't sell. And the other thing to remember is that there is a 12.5% plus VAT, so that's 15% in total, buyer's premium to add to the hammer price. So start off, lot 410, very first one, was a Reliant Robin. This is one of the first Reliant Robins. And surprisingly, it didn't sell. 2,500 to 3,500 estimate. And it didn't actually get a bite. And I thought that was quite interesting. It's one of the earlier ones. So I thought that might have gone, but wasn't the big interest. Lot 411 was a 1959 Lambretta delivery van. As we know, these are very popular with the coffee sellers and so on, and for promotional vehicles. Unfortunately, this one didn't sell. Had an estimate of £7,000 to £9,000. Maybe there's enough little coffee vans out there already. Who knows? But that one, I'm afraid, didn't sell. Next up, we've got lot 412. Now, this was around about 1960 BMW Isetta 300. Now, this was in pretty tidy condition. It was, good little fun car. That did sell. It got to £9,200. And not surprised, really. These are still quite in demand. And also the interesting thing, this one, the proceeds of sale from this car were actually donated to the Children's Hospice Southwest. So great effort there by Frank. Next along, another one of the micro cars is the Messerschmitt version. Now, the experts out here may correct me. Well, let's do the housekeeping first. It was estimated at £15,000 to £18,000. I know these cars do go for good money, but unfortunately it didn't reach that. It did say it was missing the convertible roof. Now, we'll flip the pictures round. Now, I thought, when I looked at it, I thought it was one of these that had that Perspex sort of bubble top on it. There seems to be the groove all the way around for it, so maybe it's convertible. If you're a Messerschmitt expert, please do tell me in the comments whether I've got that right or wrong. But as I said, that one unfortunately didn't make its reserve. And of course, any of these cars that didn't sell, if you are interested in them, please do contact Charterhouse Auctions. I'll put the details in the description below. And, maybe contact them and see if you can come up with a deal. So next along, car one that I've actually driven, a Berkeley T60. Immediately the one I drove had a Honda motorcycle engine in it. This, I believe, had the original one. But again, unfortunately, this one didn't sell either. £6,500 to £7,500. The one that my friend had, I think that sold for about £5,000 privately. Even with the original engine, I don't think it had that much of a premium. So maybe that was a little bit strong for that one. But next up, it's a nice little bargain, I think. Bond Bug, 1972. Yeah, there were not many of these made. 3,000, I think. And this one did look really tidy. Like most of the cars in this auction, obviously they've been in the museum. Frank had got most of these started. Generally, they all seem to have a problem. Either the brakes didn't work at all. Most of them seem to be free rolling, but some of them had clutch problems and so on. And this one was sort of no exception, really. But it hammered away at just £4,000, which I think is a bit of a bargain, really. Because we know the old Bond Bugs, they do seem to be, a constant one in demand, so I could have been tempted with that one. So next up, Mini Cooper, the 1990, so the earlier of the new series of Coopers, if that makes sense to you. Now this one quite surprised me. This hammered away for £10,000. So I think it was particularly low mileage. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, just 12,279 miles, and supported with MOTs and online records. So probably one for a collector, that one. But yeah, I thought that was pretty strong money for that. But, it's a funny market at the moment. We all know that. Now, let's have a look. We have got Wolseley Hornet in at lot 417. Obviously, this is a Mini with a slightly different face and that extended boot at the rear, which I think actually suits it quite well. It's not one of these that looks like it's been particularly tacked on. I always thought these were quite a pretty car. And that hammered away for just £2,800. Again, another one I think that was a bit of a bargain. Running wise, it starts and ran. It didn't have a clutch. Clutch cylinders were seized and so on. But, you know, not big jobs on these little cars. So, yeah, I do think that one, again, was a little bit of a bargain. And then next up, we're going to find a better picture because this is a 72 Mini Shorty. And not one of these that's been radically shortened like some of them. As you know, some of them, the backlights are almost touching the windscreen frame. But this one was, I think, really quite tidy. Got a roof made for it, of course. And it actually hammered away for 5,800. So I think that was pretty good money for that. I think those modified minis, never quite sure where the market is for those. But this next one up, I think, is a bargain. It is this Metro, and okay, yeah, not all Metros are loved as much as some, but this one, local car, was pretty tidy. It was 1.1S, so it's a fairly basic model. Just £900 for that. You know, if you want to start a classic, that was your one to grab. So yeah, I think that was quite a nice little car, that one, and you know, for not a lot of money. So we'll jump back in eras now with lot 420, standard 10, and as a standard car, probably not particularly overly loved. I'm probably going to get roasted for that. But this one that had some upgrades to make it in for sort of historic style rallying. Now, I'm not talking about racing through Kilda Forest, chucking the stones up. This is more sort of time trial kind of stuff. It did look pretty tidy when I saw it. It got this few accessories ready for taking it on board with to go rallying, and that hammered away for just £3,000. So cheap motorsport, that, I think. So not a bad one, that. And then sat alongside it was this Austin A30. Oh, sorry, A35, because you can tell that because it's got the indicators on the front, not the trafficators, and also the grille is body coloured, not chrome. Must get out more. But this one hammered away for 3.8, which I think for an A35 was actually pretty good money. That it was, you know, it's been, you know, they've sort of, I think, got it up and running. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, starts okay, clutches free, moves okay, but no brakes. And that is common with a lot of the cars there. So yeah, not a bad buy, that. I think, you know, I think that did all its money, if I'm honest. And then next along, A40 Countryman. Now, this was underpinnings very similar to the A35, but of course this was a bit of a rarity because it was one of the early hatchbacks. And in the original video we thought, was this the very first hatchback? But I was corrected, as you always do in the comments, and I love to hear from you, that the actual first hatchback was a Citroen Traction Avant before the war. So this one, again, starts, runs okay, brakes okay, and the clutch was free. And at £3,000, yeah, if you want a little starter classic that you can get most of the bits for, I'd say that was one to grab. Now, Hillman Imp up next, 423. This one surprised me a little bit. It was a tidy car. They drained and refilled the fuel on it. It started and run okay, but the carbs were leaking, the clutch was stuck and so on. But I thought this was quite strong money for it at £7,000. Admittedly, it was a very tidy one. And so who am I to knock it? Good price, go for it. And another one from the Roots stable is this 86 Talbot Samba in that really distinctive lilac colour. Cheap convertible there. 3,200, you know, you could use that for a couple of years and end up selling it on again, and you probably wouldn't lose anything. It was a really tidy car. Brakes unfortunately were sticking, cars were leaking fuel and so on, but you know, for someone that's been stuck in the museum for this time, not a big surprise at all. So on to 425. Now you see, this is where I think these cars are going to struggle. 1939 Sunbeam Talbot 10 Drophead Coupe. Yeah, I did have to read that because it's not one I'm familiar with. Didn't sell, I'm afraid. 7,000 to 10,000 estimate. Had been previously restored. Just pre-war car, But again, these are a difficult sale at the moment. I think it's not an unlovely looking car. It's just the people out there that want them aren't there, I'm afraid. And then this one, again, these older cars, I'm in the dark on the value. This was estimated, this AC Anzani, which was estimated 25 to 27, I think. And yeah, it was one, I think Richard the auctioneer mentioned, a bit like a DeLorean. It didn't have any paint on it, it was just aluminium. I know a DeLorean was stainless steel, we've been over that already. It's only done 7,000 miles, but small market, I'm afraid, small market. And then again, similar thing, BSA back before the war were doing cars. This one is actually Mulliner bodied, which you normally associate with like Bentley and Rolls Royce, but this one is actually on the BSA. Again, estimated 5 to 7,000, and I'm afraid it just didn't make it there. I say, certainly not an unpretty car at all, but hey ho. Next along, see, it's going to be more of the same, I'm afraid. 1928 Riley Wentworth. Apparently, it's, I think, quite a rare one. It did sell, this one. It got to £7,000, so that was hammered away, and understood to be the only one remaining of that type. So maybe that's why it made its numbers. And then we've got a Wolseley 7 Tourer, an alternative to, obviously, to the Austin 7. That one hammered away for 8.8. We know Austin 7s are generally quite popular as an older classic. They're the ones sort of bucking the trend of those older cars. And there was only about 1,000 of these made in the first place, and apparently there's only 10 of these survive. So this is one of them. So that one did get a sale away. And we'll bounce over that blank lot. And the oldest car in the auction, this 1918 De Dion model, had a bit of a history. This one, believed it was a fire engine in France to start with. Originally it was red, then it ended up in the UK. Somewhere along the line it's been converted to this sort of charabanc kind of thing, and was used for days out, trundling between posh restaurants as a bit of a fun thing. Again, these very old cars, we know it's going to be hard work, and this one hammered away for just £2,800. Be lovely to see if that one got up and running again, but it's probably going to be a display piece, I'm afraid. And then alongside it was this 1946 Railton. Railton, obviously, very strong brand before the war. After the war, they didn't produce very many cars at all. This one had a straight 8. Did hammer away for £10,000, this one. And had a sort of reasonable amount of sort of history with it as well. But again, these cars, as we know, are, you know, a little bit hard work. But I think 10,000 was fair price for that. And again, in this same sort of category, I'm afraid, the Rolls Royce Wayman Saloon, sorry. This was owned by Mrs. Lilly of Lilly and Skinner's shoe fame originally. Estimated 24 to 26, and unfortunately didn't get close enough to that to secure a sale. So that one is still available if you fancy a bit of Rolls Royce. And more to the other end of the price scale, this 74 midget round wheel arch, so that makes it quite a rarity. Looked in tidy condition, did need a little bit of bodywork on it, was actually owned by one of the mechanics that helped Frank out. And that hammered away for 4,200, which I think for a midget that age, obviously I've got one myself, I think that's about right. And then next along, always a good seller. It depends if you want to be Morse or do you want to be a 70s baddie. You can be either with a Jaguar Mark II, can't you? This one hammered away for 11.5, which I think probably is about its money. Starts, runs and drove, so I think that was probably a pretty good buy, that one. And then alongside it, this Morgan here is a little bit unusual, drophead coupe. It was one of only 3 built by Ellis Brothers of Newton Abbot, and so you won't see sort of another one of these really. And I was quite surprised. I'm just trying to find, there you go, that's a better picture of the back. I was quite surprised when this one didn't make its estimate of £10,000 to £12,000. So yeah, again, older cars, same story, I'm afraid. This was always going to do fairly well. 1971 Morris. It says Sun Cars Torrington. I thought they were Sun Tour, but I will bow to the superior knowledge of the auctioneers here. And obviously they've got the elevating roof, it's got the cooking facilities inside. If you're going away to a weekend classic car show, you've got it all wrapped up in one. No more struggling under canvas and getting cold and wet and horrible. You got something like this, you can pop the top up. I think that was absolutely great. And that hammered away for £12,000. So on to the next lot. There we go. And despite the fact this looks very much like an old police car, this Wolseley 444 is actually dark green, not black. Might show up better on the video. And it hammered away for just 2,600. Again, it was, I think it was starts and run. Yeah, it did. The clutch was okay. Not one that there is a particularly big market for, I'm afraid. And then we've got lot 440, which is this MG Magna. Obviously that Farina style of the Austin, Cambridge and Morris Oxfords. Very sort of steady classic, these. That one hammered away for 6.8 though, which I thought was quite good money for one of those, because they don't tend to make big money. But this one, only 2 owners in 59 years and less than 20,000 miles. So that's where your premium comes from on that one. And then next along, now, kit car. We're always going to have a kit car moment, aren't we? And this Tiger GTA, pretty little thing, only a couple of years old. You know, if you're going to commission one of these to be built, you're going to pay a lot more than the £12,000 that it hammered away for. So if you want something that's virtually new, sports car, that's not a Caterham, well, I think that would be spot on. And another one in that kit fraternity is this lovely Rochdale Olympic, one of the earliest monocoque fiberglass cars. That one hammered away, £7,000. I did have a close look at that. It's a kit car, so I would. And it did look really tidy and something that bit different, and, you know, a lovely pretty car to take to a show. Now, this is another one I did like. Yeah, I know it's a kit car. 1981 Ram Jaguar D-type replica, so it's got all the Jaguar mechanicals under it. Did look really nice. It did look really well screwed together. 50 55, didn't make it. The top end kit cars, some of them are struggling at the moment. I watched the GT40 go through at Historics the other week. Didn't sell, but it only made about £45,000. So yeah, it's I think that one, yeah, is a good car, but a bit strong for me. I might be horribly wrong. One that did sell was this 59 Jaguar XK 150, obviously towards the end of XK production. E-Type come along in 61, and this one, really nice car, nice and tidy, hammered away £39,000, which I think is about spot on its money. And yeah, it was a nice car, that one. And then this one surprised me. The Riley RMA might have got, I got a bit chewed off the other day because I'd said, "Whoa, I didn't think there would be much in demand." So one of my friends did chew me off a little bit on it. This one had been fully restored in the past, the new ash frame under it, so it was good to go, and that went for £8,800. And for one of the sort of older cars, yeah, I think that was pretty good. I know, you know, there is a definite niche for them, but I didn't realise it was quite that strong. And then even bigger niche, or smaller niche, don't know which is it, is this Jowett Javelin 51. Bradford-based company, made their own cars and engines and so on. They had a boxer engine in it before, you know, all you Subaru boys got excited by it. And that hammered away for just 2.6. And I think it was almost up and running. Yeah, the brakes were stuck and the clutch wasn't lifting, but it was running. Needed a new fuel pump, but again, niche little car. You know, in between all the moggy miners at a Sunday car show, you're going to stick out. This one was always going to do well. The do not accept payment is related to the fact that the number plate was coming out off at XJ01, because obviously that's got significant value on its own. And that one got to a hammer price of £19,000. I think it won awards in the past and things like that. It was a really, really nice car, that one. And the Singer Gazelle, that sort of Roots Group style of car there. Again, this one went a bit more than I thought it would. Sorry, a bit less than I thought it would. I thought this might be a sort of 6-ish. I actually went for 4.5. Again, it was tidy car. I think it was quite running. The clutch was okay, starts and runs okay. Oh, the rear brakes were grinding, that was the only thing. So that one was fairly up and together. And then what is effectively a kit car. I think this was either a Spitfire or Herald chassis with a different body on top. This 71 midge hammered away for £5,500, which I think was pretty good money, because some of those older little specials, they tend to be a little bit niche, but you know, it's a historic vehicle, so it'll be MOT and tax exempt, so somebody's going to have some fun with that. And next along, lot 450, we're getting there, is this Austin A40 van, which has been converted effectively to an estate. I sort of looked at it and thinking, well, someone could make a nice little camper out of that. I think it is a little bit niche. Unfortunately, that didn't sell. That went to £5,000 to £7,000 as an estimate. Didn't make it that far. Yeah, I think it might struggle. I think it was fairly up and running. I think, let's have a look. Starts and runs, clutch works, but no brakes. So yeah, it was. Yeah, it was quite a big old thing. Moving on, 58 Austin A105 Westminster Vanden Plas. Is it Vanden Plas, Vanden Plas? Never sure. And this one, good old bank manager's car, top of the range model with all your bits of wood and everything else. That one hammered away for £5,000. And yeah, I think that's probably pretty much on its money. You don't see many of them nowadays. They did tend to have a bit of a rot thing going on. It was one of only 500 produced in that era, and I think it was fairly up and running. Engine runs are only on one carb, but it was, you know, tidy old thing, like, you know, basically all the cars in this auction. Now this Alpine was a bargain in my opinion. Originally exported to California, came back I think in the 90s, 91, and then was changed to right-hand drive and changed from green to red. Now this one at just £5,500 I think was a bit of a bargain. I know a friend of mine just sold one of these. Can't compare the condition. I think it was probably a little bit better, but that went for about £11,000, and I thought, wow, this makes this one quite cheap. So I think someone got a bit of a bargain there. And the same with the next car. This Vauxhall Wyvern had been fully restored. You got this and the Cresta we see next, which is a completely original car. But this Wyvern was really, really nice. It had been fully restored by a Vauxhall Owners Club member. It was spot on. You didn't have anything to worry about on that. You weren't going to find anything nasty pudding or anything else under it. And it went away for just £5,500, and I don't think you can go wrong with that. I think that was chirpy cheap, that one. And then one unfortunately that didn't sell was this Cresta, and anyone follows Henry Cole, he did actually I think try to do a deal with Frank on this one when he had a program going down to the museum a little while ago, and he had it estimated at 14 to 18, and it obviously didn't make that far because it's still up for sale. And it starts, runs, moves okay, no brakes or clutch, but you know, that's not to be a big surprise after this amount of time in a museum. And then one that I think overperformed was this 71 Morris 1100. Yeah, there is obviously a niche love for these cars, but I didn't realise it was niche love that was £6,000. Particularly on this one, when you scroll down, you'll see that it is particularly low mileage, just 16,000 miles. And it was a part of a previous private collection before. And yeah, it was tidy. Was it up and running? Yeah, runs okay. Clutch stuck to flywheel again. Not a surprise. But yeah, that was good money for that. And this, if you remember the original video, this is one of Frank's favourite cars. Ford Console Cantina, 1500 Deluxe, and nice stripe down the side there, white roof, and it was just a nice tidy car. Had was displayed with a lot of period pieces in it, and that hammered away for 6,200, which I think I was quite surprised. I thought that might do a little bit more than that, because those Mark 1 Cortina consoles are still, you know, in that era of people can remember parents and grandparents driving them. So and being in the state, obviously that was a little bit rarer as well. So yeah, that one's gone away. And next along, the 70 Ford Cortina, Ford Lotus Cortina Mark II. Now, obviously, the Mark II doesn't have the following of the Mark Is, you know, the imagery of Jim Clark going around on 3 wheels at Crystal Palace and so on. But this one was tidy, been previously restored in the past and hammered away for 21,000, which I think is about on its money, because I saw a very similar car go through an auction in Essex about a month ago. Just had a full engine rebuild for about 3.5 grand and went for 25. So like for like, that's probably about right. And I think starts, runs, moves okay, no brakes or clutch. So you got a little bit of work to do. But I think as a way into Lotus Cortina ownership, cheap one. Excuse me. Been talking for too long. And then next along, we got this 1970 Ford Escort 1300 Super. So you got a mirror basically, or wing mirror. This one hammered away for 7,000. I don't think it done mega miles, but the interesting thing with it was the person that owned it had actually kept a record of everything, like petrol log, MPG, everything else, notebooks, you know. As I say, days before the internet, things we did to keep ourselves busy. 4-door, so obviously not quite so attractive to the rallying fraternity, which is probably a nice thing, but for £7,000, yeah, I think you did all right there. And then we're just closing in on the last few lots. We've got this 51 Wolseley even 680. Now the back half of this, or back 2/3 effectively, is Morris Oxford, which is like a big Morris Minor with the longer nose on the front for the 6-cylinder engine. Again, it's in that era where, you know, the demand is tailing away. Estimated 9 to 11,000. Yeah, it didn't make it, I'm afraid. But obviously, as I said, if you're interested in these cars, please do contact Charterhouse. And then let's remember, MG didn't just make MGBs, MGAs and midgets and so on. They did make saloon cars as well. 57 MG Magnet, nice tidy car again. That one hammered away for £6,000, which in my opinion I think is about on the money. Next along, another MG, but an older one. Now this is 1950, but as you can see, looks very pre-war. This was basically because MG, when they got going after the war, basically brought out their pre-war designs, updated them a little bit and carried on initially to get themselves up and running. This one hammered away for £6,000, which again I think is pretty much on its money. The market for these probably isn't going to improve. And then next along, I think this is a bit of a bargain. I did have a close look at this one. This Rover P6, okay, it's not the V8, it's the 2-litre single carb. It was really tidy, it looked just right, it smelt right, and that hammered away for just £3,400. I'm quite surprised how cheap that went for. It was a nice car, it was in tidy condition. I'm just trying to find a better shot of the rear. Yeah, there wasn't much not to like about it. Yes, you're going to have to do a few jobs to get it up and running and give it a good service, but otherwise. And I think our very last lot, a 1923 AC Empire registration number KK5202. Yeah, way before my years, of course. Hammered away for £6,500. It was rebuilt originally by somebody who basically used it to go and get their Sunday paper. It was also previously on display at another museum. Again, niche market for these cars, so that's probably on its money. So I've got one little last thing for you, because it is sort of a car, but let's just flick over. Yes, the Austin J40 pedal car, the very, 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 very last one. And chassis number 32098, so it was the last one, previously been sold by Bonhams, and you know, that's it, it's the last one. You're not going to find anything beyond that, and that sold for £7,000. So as Richard the auctioneer predicted, it would sell for actually more than the cars you could get in and start up and drive off. I really hope you've enjoyed that. I just wanted to give you a bit of a feel. Unfortunately, I was away during this auction, so I know a lot of people like to see the results and so on. So please, if you've enjoyed that, if you want to see similar content, hit that subscribe button and hit the like, because that does great work to help us out here at the channel. Until next time.